Oh my goodness.
Oh my
March
God.
31st.
Okay.
We're done.
Done here.
Oh, we're done with the podcast. Okay, yeah. And the woman that I married, March 31st, 2001.
Yes, see, forgetful, y'all. So that's another thing I have to put up with.
Don't edit out.
When
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Today I have, will be the greatest guest of all time, the most important guest, the guest I love the most, the guest that is the most important to me in every aspect of my life. Kerry Todd, my significant other, my better half, the love of my life. Thank you for joining me. Hey. All right. Now, I know this is not your thing, all this cameras them up, but there's something that we do at home. We haven't been doing as much of it, but we usually do cup of time, right? And it's where we decompress.
to do more.
We need to do more of it. I know. I'm going to work on it. All right. This is going to be a marriage therapy counseling session. Hopefully, as you all are listening to this, you get a lot of value from it. So Kerry and I have been, we've been married for 22 years, and we've been together for 26 years. We are college sweethearts. And when she met me, I was this young punk at 19 years old. And I had this desire to become a physical therapist. And you were in college as well. I met her. She was an RA for one of the dorms, and she was kind of cute. So
Very cute.
I started our relationship basically on a lie. She needed help in pre-calculus, and I said I can help her, which I could. But then she said, "Great, could you help my roommate? She's doing calculus." I was like, "Of course I can help your roommate. I've never done calculus in my life, just letting you know." But anyways, it all worked
and you
out.
never helped me.
And I never did help you. Okay. All right. So here we are. We've been married for 22 years, and we have 4 kids. And I'm an entrepreneur, and that's not what you signed up for. So let's talk about that. Is that cool? Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself besides what I just told them? Who are
you? The person behind it all, I guess.
Yeah.
Mom of 4. I guess I like to call myself the C.O.E. because I'm chief of everything, and I basically do all the things that no one else wants to do. So whatever it is, I get it done. So I'm more of like the behind the scenes person, but also I think the most important thing that I do is that I am the supporter of everyone, and I like to think I help a lot to make the decisions too, from behind the scenes.
Do you like that role?
Yes. Yes.
Have you ever craved wanting to be in the limelight, wanting to be the front person like me?
Nope.
No.
And I still don't like to do it, but
Yeah.
I do it for you. So yeah, so it can be a little bit a little hard, like especially like the big events, because I'm more of like a one-on-one type person. So yeah, it gives me some anxiety, but it's definitely like something that you thrive on. So there for support. And that's one of the things that's like we're opposite on. So, but, it's fine. We make it work.
Make it work. Okay. So let's talk some tough stuff. I was saying this off camera. There's so many views of entrepreneurship and relationships and how all this stuff really works. And thinking that the spouse and the partner are both like these, like I think of Grant Cardone, right? His wife, Elena, she is pushing him to be this massive personality, this big name in entrepreneurship. I think of even one of my coaches, Andy Frisilla. His wife, Emily, is an entrepreneur as well, right? pushing. Like they both get it. And even my older brother, he was like, if I ever get married, he's like, I doubt I'm ever going to get married. But if I do, I want somebody that is going to be into business because that's all I want to do is business, you know? And that's not how it works for me and you. You're not into business. When you married me, I wasn't into business. I wasn't into business either.
Yeah.
And so I know sometimes we have talked and you're like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think it's, you know, with what you do, it's like a 24/7 type business, and I'm sure that, you know, that is how it is for most people. But time is like really important to me, so I think that that's usually the key of why I say it's not what I signed up for. Meaning because it's like you have to try to balance the time, and it's like you know, it's a little bit off balance. Sometimes the scale tip one way and sometimes it tip the other way. And I'm usually like not as, you know, oh, let's just schedule everything, you know. I feel like I don't want to be penciled in.
Yeah.
So it's more like, you know, okay, make time for me when I want time.
Right.
And I think
that's
that
a hard thing.
Yeah, I think that has been the hard thing.
Yeah.
And it's like the more you share with me about the way business is, I think also that's another thing is that because I've never really been like a business type, so it's like some of the stuff that I just don't get.
Right.
And when you share with me and you and we're discussing things, then I get it more. It makes sense. But you know, so that's it. It's a lot of moving parts, and there's also like an intensity that comes with you being an entrepreneur, and I'm more of like I see calmness and peace, and sometimes it just creates that, you know, like pressure, anxiety, because it's like it's throwing me off, you know, throwing me off of how I usually am, and
Right.
you know what I'm drawn to, if that makes sense.
Because when I'm working, it's like I'm thriving in chaos.
Yes, and that
I love the busyness. Like when I come to the office,
and you like get energized, and
energized,
I get drained, and
yeah.
just so I think that has, you know, that is hard. It's hard for us because, well, we're already opposite, so that makes it hard. But also for me, it makes me feel this intense pressure, like I need to be on, and I'm already struggling in that area of, you know, I'm typically a low energy person, just more cautious, like, you know, and you thrive in that, and you thrive in that environment, and I don't. So that sometimes create this, you know, chaotic anxiety, and I'm more like want to escape from that. So
you know,
I think that's the hard part.
This is so interesting because many of you that are listening, you've heard parts of my story. I was an employee, a physical therapist, working for the corporate 9-to-5 environment, and it sucked. I was working from 7 a.m. to some days 8 p.m., 9 p.m. That was a typical day. But then when I was working with the tennis players, I was working till midnight. And I wasn't even really liking what it was I was doing. I was providing for my family, but I saw no light at the end of the tunnel. And what I mean light at the end of the tunnel, it wasn't money. It was, we were in so many arguments because I wasn't giving you time because I was gone all the time. And so I knew that I had to change my situation. And at that time, we had both agreed that I was going to be an entrepreneur. Like, we're going to try this thing. We didn't fully understand. I didn't even know if you knew what an entrepreneur was back then. We were just like, I can't work for these people anymore.
Yeah, we just knew you wanted to work for yourself.
We just knew I needed to work for myself so that I could dictate my own schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And so we agreed that entrepreneurship was going to be the path that we were going to take. And one of the things that I don't feel like we've ever had a hard time with, at least when starting, and so I hear this from couples, is that one person wants them to do it, one doesn't. We both were in agreement with starting this. We didn't realize it was going to get to what it is today.
Yeah.
And to get to the level of, I guess, success that we've had and kind of the money that we've generated, and not necessarily having to do it at that intensity anymore. And it's really only gotten more intense.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know that that's a tricky thing for you. It's like, why do I continue to do it at the level that I do it? But without us starting this, I don't even know. Do you think we would have been together where we were going in 2004 if I never left Cora?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we would have stayed together?
Yes. You better stay together.
Looking back at it, do you think we would have stayed together? I don't know. I don't think so.
I think we would, because, with both of us are like seriously committed and loyal people, and
We would have figured it out.
and also we're not afraid of hard work.
Right.
And that's what marriage is. It's, it's hard work.
Right.
But it's just like anything else that you want in your life. Like, if something is worth it for you, you're going to have to do hard work. Things going to be easy. You don't have 4 kids and not work, it's hard work. And so I like to think that we would make it, because it's not like our marriage has been like, smooth sailing all the time. Like, we have to work on it. And in 22 years, we're still working at it. And if you don't, then it's going to die. It's just like anything else. If you don't work at it, it's not going to grow.
And that's what I had so we had a conversation yesterday. We were moving in our daughter. She's starting her 3rd year of college. And so when we were driving back, we had a lot of good conversation. And I don't just have one business. I have multiple businesses, and some of them are failing and some are thriving.
Mm-hmm.
And the businesses that are not doing well are the businesses that I'm no longer a part of in a day-to-day. And the people that were running it don't understand that it's constant work.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be like, wow, Greg just created this amazing thing for me. Now I can just run it on autopilot, right? And when they don't put in the work that was put in before, the business doesn't just coast, right? And we're seeing that in some of our businesses. And then there's other businesses where I am intentional with the work, the energy, the focus that I'm giving to the business, and they're thriving and doing extremely well.
Yeah.
And it's no different in marriage.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's like, it never gets easy, y'all. It never gets easy. It's constant work that we're putting in to understand each other. Because the woman that I married December 26th of 2001 is not the same woman that I'm married to today. And the man that you married December. Sorry,
Wait.
what the heck am I supposed to use? I'm sorry. I'm
March?
sorry. Oh my gosh. It was my first day at work. It's my first day at work. I have to go now. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Okay.
We're done.
Done here.
Oh, we're done the podcast. Okay, yeah. And the woman that I married March 31st, 2001.
Yes, don't forget y'all. So that's another thing I have to put up with.
Don't edit out
when
the podcast, by the way. Don't. Well, people to know.
when I will.
This is what happened. This is it.
I will
I was
get,
thinking of my first day at work. Golly. It was the first day I married you, which is work.
oh my
It was my first day at
God.
my other job. Okay. All right. Anyways, it's work.
Yes.
They're all work. And
But you just said it. You just said the key. You have to be intentional.
you have to be intentional.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional in everything that you do. And there's a lot of blessings that we've been able to have and achieve, things we've been able to acquire, time that we've been able to spend. I was just saying this year, I was just telling you this year, we've gone on 5 private trips together.
Yeah. Thank you to the team.
Thank you to the team.
Yeah.
But it's work to invest in the team and getting these people to understand who I am and them knowing that I care for them. I truly care for them, and I want them helping me with the mission to change their lives, right? Their personal lives and the things that they want for their loved ones or for their family or for their career.
Yeah.
And so that's work too. And whenever I'm doing that, it's pulling me away from you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, without them, we couldn't basically have the biggest year that we've ever had here. And at the same time, me being able to spend the time with you, but there's a trade-off to everything.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's really tricky. All right. With that said, there's questions? There's questions? Go ahead, Kenneth. Give me the questions for our clients and followers.
So we have one question, and it is, from a wife's perspective, how do you navigate business and a relationship? Being that he has to spend so much time doing this business and dedicating to it, how do you navigate being the wife and managing the CEO?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely hard to balance. Like, I think balance in anything is, as I said before, it's gonna tip one way or tip the other way at times, and it can definitely be tough. And I like to say, oh, this is not what I signed up for when the tough time comes. I will say that to him because with business, it just feels like it never ends. It's ongoing. It's 24/7, and it does take a lot of time away from me. And so I think what my focus is really just trying to be a support for him, and also just like trying not to focus so much on like the time that we are away, and trying to make the time that we are together memorable and being intentional about spending that time. Because like I said before, I don't really like the idea of being penciled in, but I've had to accept that is the best way to be intentional about our time together. So,
So this was a for Greg. So the question is, what do you consider to be the best way to keep your spouse engaged when they're not necessarily a part of this?
The best way to keep, at least for my spouse, I think for every spouse, it's going to be a little bit, different. You have to know what the needs of your spouse is. I have realized that when I'm communicating about the business, I'm communicating about what I'm feeling, my feelings, and I'm listening to my spouse and making sure that I'm doing check-ins with you, then that works the best. So making sure that we're talking about how I'm feeling, and part of what makes me feel the way that I feel is based on the environments that I'm in. And a lot of the environments that I'm in have to do with my business and commerce, right? So I feel like that's one thing. And then I think the second thing is there are certain parts of the business that I will let you get feedback and get your interaction with, right? Like, I don't like to talk to you about if I have to go and buy a $50,000 mastermind program. I know that would like make your brain explode, or if I'm going to go do some massive deal with somebody that's going to cost me, $100,000, or like when I'm doing the event and it costs me $250,000 to do the event. But there are certain things I know that you would like to be a part of, like with the book, like, hey, help me with designing the cover, or help me with this. And I know that makes you feel extremely important when you're a part of the business, but it's certain parts of the business.
Yeah.
So I just have to remind myself, because I'm typically very impatient and rushy, and just like, hey, somebody else do this, for me. And just thinking that, wait, this is actually something that I can make you do, and it would make you feel involved.
So this is going to be a question for you both. In that regard, what do you do on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis to stay on the same page with each other and keep the spark alive?
You start first. I know what I'd do. Shoot.
What? Then go ahead. Then let me hear this.
No.
Let me hear this.
No. Beauty first before.
Well, we do weekly dates. We make sure that we get our dates in,
Thursdays.
On Thursdays, yeah. We try to have cup of time. We don't have it as much lately, but we do try to have cup of time where we are enjoying our cup of coffee and, talking, like sharing what's going on in our lives. And we usually do it. We do that weekly as well. And I don't know what else. I'm very private.
Yeah, she's private. So she will tell you everything.
Yeah.
But I'd say, one of the big things is that before, and by the way, this is what happens when you build a vehicle. There was a time where when you're working and you're trading your time for money as a physical therapist, your schedule is your schedule. There is no like, hey, I'm going to be 15 minutes late, or I'm going to be 30 minutes late, or I got a doctor's appointment. It's like, it doesn't work like that. You got people, you got patients, and they book with you, and you just don't have the time. So I think there's a couple of things that we do. We used to do dates twice a week. We would do Tuesdays and Thursday, and I would finish work at 2, and then we would go on a date in the afternoon. What we've noticed that works better for us, like you said, is that Thursday is a date day.
Yeah.
So I would find it hard for me where I might have just been in a meeting and then I've got to flip it off. And it could have been something like, let's say it was 1:00 and somebody like really annoyed me, or a deal went bad or whatever. It was hard for me to be present during that date. But now that we do a date day, it's one full day that it's just myself and Kerry. It's whatever we want to do. So it could be breakfast. A lot of times we go to the beach in the morning. We go swimming in the beach. We do this. We do breakfast. We do lunch at bait house or, whatever. And then, it's that day. And I feel like I'm focused on you for the day,
I appreciate.
Yeah. And also it's good because everybody knows here that that's his day with Kerry. So, it's just easier it's like it cuts it off.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's huge for us. I think we also take trips, where
That's a big one.
it's a huge one. So we take trips. We try to do it once. Like right now, it's been once every 6 weeks is what it's averaging out. And this year we've been going up to our mountain place in Georgia. We're going to be going to Mexico next in 2 months, right? So we try to do once every 6 weeks, and that's just 4 to 5 days with just us.
Yeah.
And it's very minimal work. And yeah, I'm working a little bit, but we have so much time together, and it's no kids that, that helps to keep sparks.
We get things at my pace.
At your pace. Right. Right.
Not rushing everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's huge. It's huge.
So with that, the next question I have is, how do you set boundaries for a spouse who is too involved in the business?
Ooh, I don't have to worry about that.
Like
it is. How do you set boundaries for me?
Oh gosh,
Lord.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think you'll agree that I don't have any problem with letting him know when I'm not getting my time. And also, you being actually present when it's our time together. Like, put that phone down. I want the time to be just focused on me. So, I it's always an ongoing battle, I would say. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but it's just like constant reminder that, hey, I'm here. This between us is important, and let's just remember, like, if it's a Thursday and it's our date day, like, I don't really want him doing too much business that day, because then it just feels like he can't really be completely present. So I think that's the key, is just the constant communication. And communication is not that easy for us. Like, I think it looks like it is, but like sometimes we struggle a bit because we don't want to hurt the other person. So we still struggle after all these years with like being, really like honest, like, hey, look, you're not being present. Like, you're here, but you're not here. And I was trying to tell you something important that I'm going through, So sometimes we can, kind of struggle with that a bit because the business is like, it's ongoing stuff. So something might happen and he'll go look at his phone, but he doesn't want to tell me because like he wants us to just, have a nice day together. So he might not want to tell me, but then I'm like, oh, what are you doing over there? So yeah, that, I think that's the, that's a part that we kind of have to, always work at and make sure that, we're focusing on each other when we have our time together.
Yeah. I think you helped to keep me checked in because I'm obsessive.
Yeah.
I have a very obsessive personality, and I think that's what you need in order to be great at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you cannot be half in, half out in anything. If you're going to be great at it,
Yeah.
you could be okay at something, but to be great, that's a whole nother ballgame. So I do think that you keep me checked in, like, hey, come on, buddy, come on over here. By the way, when I was a kid, right, and I would play video games, I will play all day, all night. Like, I just, because I want to be great at anything that I do.
Yeah.
So I block everything out, I block it all out, and I'll block out you, the kids, if you allowed me to.
Yeah.
I think you're not having it.
It's not having it.
It's not gonna happen.
I'm not allowing it.
You're not blocking anybody out,
Yeah.
buddy. And that's what
Especially not me.
especially not you. Kids, whatever. Hell no.
I may be quiet, but I can be a force.
Yeah.
Very good answer. Thank you. I think that is definitely what the people needed to hear.
Yeah.
So the next question that we have is, how do you recognize you need to communicate before it becomes an issue? So one of the people who asked, they feel like they are great at communicating when the issue has it's become an issue now. We're now having to be in the weeds and go back and forth. But how do you have that conversation before it gets there, or even notice that you should have that conversation?
Well, we actually still find that challenging. So sometimes, like I said before, we don't want to share something if we think the other person is going to be hurt or, feel left out. If he needs to make an important decision and he's like, oh God, I'm not going to be here for date day. She might not like it. So he might not want to share it with me. And then, most of the time, like, I can sense something is a little bit off. So then, that sometimes can escalate the problem a little bit. And so I think it's better, and it's something that we discuss a lot. It's better if he just shares it with me, even if he thinks I'm going to be upset about it. Just go ahead and share it. But, we're all so different with communication. And some people might just, not want to hear the truth. And so I think, when you're faced with that, the best thing you can do is make sure that, it's a time when, we're both not tired or, just try, Greg's a morning person and, I'm really not. But if I feel like we need to discuss something important, then the morning would be better when he's not exhausted already, because, if he's exhausted already and we try to discuss something, he might be, it might be harder, a little bit more upset about whatever it is that we're trying to discuss. And then also for me, I guess he has to do the same. He has to find a time when I'm not tired or already anxious about something when he's going to discuss it with me. So we're learning that. We're still learning that we got to make sure that we're sharing, but we're sharing at the right time, if that makes sense. Don't just share something and then, it becomes a blow up. Try to share it, at a good time so we can discuss it. And I think that works better for us, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think freedom always lies on the other end of a difficult conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever there's a difficult conversation that needs to happen where I got to do something that you didn't know about, or I can't do this, or this is going to throw off this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always concerned of, oh my gosh, this might upset her.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've come to realize is that if I can just say it,
Yeah.
yes, it probably did upset you,
Yes.
but there's something else that you learned from it. So let's just say,
And I still want to hear.
and you want to hear
I
it
think
too.
that is what's important.
And-
Even if I'm going to be upset, I still want to hear it, because then I'm thinking already like something's off, and
Right.
what is it?
then
and making
you are
assumptions.
The thinker.
Yes.
And you start to make assumptions.
Mhm.
What is he doing? Da 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 da. This and that. And then now you've already created a war in your mind.
Mhm.
And so I realized that it's just better for me just to get it out. So because eventually it's gonna get out anyways.
Yeah.
And then if it gets out after I failed to tell you that part and that part and that part, which led to this part,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to be like, well, why didn't you tell me from
Yeah.
all those things? And it makes the problem even worse.
Yeah.
So I'm really learning that.
Mhm.
You just guys see 22 years, just still learning.
Yeah.
And the last question that we have for you is, how do you get on the same page with investing in the business when finances are involved? One of the big wires that they know sometimes it can be a pretty hefty charge to like put money into something for the business. How you guys get on the same page with understanding, or what do you do to manage the finances?
Yeah, that's tough. I think I still struggle with that because, I have a bit of a issue with like spending. So to me, like I'm usually like, are you sure you have to do this? And I'm also cautious. Like, are you sure? Or something like. So on his end, he typically will have to like convince me of what the outcome will be, and just maybe share some more details and just try to get me on the same page. But yeah, that's still something that we kind of still will not be on the same page with at times. So, but the thing is that I just have to trust him because he knows business. So I'm just like, okay. So eventually he usually will convince me. But yeah, I know that can be hard for him sometimes to like actually come and tell me, oh, gotta spend all this to do this thing. And I'm like, are you sure you gotta do that? So
I think,
what's your take?
well, we're a team. And as a team, there's coaches in each department. And I feel like you're the head coach at home and you handle all operations at home,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that keeps our kids good. That keeps me good. And you are the C.O.E, chief of everything at the Todd Squad, Inc.,
Yeah.
right? But then I have to be the head coach for providing for the Todd Squad, Inc., and providing for other families and truly living out whatever my calling, I believe, is.
Yeah.
And that's my role. So I try to keep my spouse involved in some of these things, but I understand we're not going to see eye to eye. But at the end of the day, there has to be somebody that's going to make the final decision. Like, there's got to be somebody that's going to make the final decision at the house when it comes to the kids, when it comes to how we're going to educate our kids, when it comes to what we're going to do for this thing or landscaping or this for the house or that for the house. And there's got to be someone that is going to just make the final decision. For business, I can keep my wife involved in understanding some of the things, but I understand that there's certain things. You're not an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur means that I'm owning and operating a business, and I'm doing so at a very high financial risk.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't ask you to get that.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to like tell you, and you might not get it, but I still have to take ownership that I got to make the final decision. And I got to live with the consequences. Now, one thing I got to say, I got to honor you real quick. One of the things is that I do make decisions that I have spent and invested lots of money, and it has worked out many times, but there's times that it hasn't worked out. I think one of the keys to our marriage and making business thrive is that you've never poked that in my face when it doesn't work out. You know, you might be like, geez, but not like I've seen it. I've seen it in other relationships where the spouse is like, remember when you screwed that up? Remember when you did that bad deal? They keep on reminding them. And that just destroys your confidence level as an entrepreneur. And so even when I do screw up, or it doesn't work out initially, I should say, you never throw that in my face. And I really appreciate that. I honor you for that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
And also it's because I believe in you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know you believe in me. And I know you want more time with me. And I believe that this is the best way to be able to get it. I also think that the reason why you want more time with me is because I'm amazing. Okay. Let's face it. You know what I mean? Okay. No.
I'm more amazing.
I mean, you are amazing. I'm amazing too, right? Okay. Amazing loves amazing. But I also
we're competitive.
But I also think what's okay. I'm always okay.
Mommy.
Okay. All right. How can I finish the podcast again? Okay. I'm gonna get you right with the podcast. Okay. So I do think though that because you wouldn't want to spend more time with a monster. You want to spend time with the man that like makes you feel good when you're around him. And a lot of why I feel that way is because of what I do as an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur has pushed me and has taught me how to have more patience, how to communicate better, because I have to do that in order to bring value to the marketplace. And that makes me a better husband. So, you know, I truly believe that if I never went in this path, I wouldn't have had the pressure to become a better human being so that people would want to do business with me and want to work with me. And I think that, because I know a lot of spouses, they don't want to be with their husband because they don't like him. You know what I mean? I don't like her or whatever, you know? So I believe that it's kind of a catch-22, you know what I mean? Because we want to be with each other more, and business sometimes prevents that. But I think because of business, it's created us into the people where we actually want to spend a lot of time together. If y'all are not realizing this, my wife and I, we actually do argue, but we really love to spend time with each other. And so we're just trying to continue to figure out the time game.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Can I say one more thing before we finish?
Thank God it's finished.
Okay. Before I finish the podcast, I want to honor you.
Like that?
Yes. So I want to honor you because of many things. You know I love you. You know you're my best friend. Okay? But you have forced me to play a game that I never planned on playing. I am not the man that you married. And it's because you demanded that I play the time game. And the time game is what led me to entrepreneurship. And I would have never done it if it wasn't worth doing it for something that I wanted or someone that I wanted. And so at that time in 2004, I really did think I was going to lose you. I really did. And I was willing to do a total 180 just to keep you. And I thank you for pushing me to play the time game. I love you.
Me too.
Awesome.